And here is my good friend joining us, FBI Director Kash Patel. Hats off to you, Kash. You've done a great job. The way I read it, you depoliticized it, you've de-weaponized it. People are going back to work, and these numbers, we're going to put it on the full screen. The FBI's summer heat and all crushing of violent crime. You've just done this in only a few months. It's remarkable, and I think it's just what the public wanted, Kash.
You're absolutely right, Larry. It's great to be with you. Deputy Director Bongino and I launched the juggernaut that you just advertised as Operation Summer Heat. And here's the good news, Larry. That was just 3 months, from June to September. Those numbers that you attributed out were just 3 months of arrest. The total number of arrests year to date this year by the FBI of violent offenders is 28,000. Just to put that in perspective, that's double the amount of violent offenders the Biden administration arrested in the same time period last year alone. And just to put something else in more perspective, the fentanyl that you cited in a 3-month surge under Operation Summer Heat, 450 kilograms, is only a third of the fentanyl seized during the entirety of this year, some 1,900 kilograms, enough to kill 125 million Americans. Larry, that's an increase of 31% in fentanyl seizures year to date during the Donald Trump administration versus Joe Biden. And something we didn't get into yesterday in the Oval Office, the homicide rate in America is on track to be the lowest in the United States modern history by double digits. This FBI and our G-men and women are getting back to being cops and going out on the streets and going after bad guys because President Trump gave us the authorities and resources we need to go after him. And another thing that needs highlighting, why are there so many violent felons in America? Because of 4 years of disastrous policies intentionally done so by the Biden administration to prioritize criminals and illegals over American citizens. Not anymore. This FBI and President Trump are flipping the script.
Yeah, and just to circle back on this, because you said it yesterday in the Oval with the president, you have ended the weaponization and the politicalization that's been going on in the upper echelons, and it's essentially back to work, as you say, the G-men and the G-women. I call them the G-men because that was their stock phrase many years ago. But the politicalization's over. The weaponization is over. It's back to work. And these are the results. We have it up on the full screen. You can read it off if you want, but I'm just saying you've depoliticized the operation, and it's now doing what folks voted it in to do. Is that fair? Is that what's happened here?
That's exactly right. Not only are we crushing violent crime, but we're defending the homeland. The stats speak for themselves. The men and women of the FBI are doing the work. Larry, this year alone, we have more than 35% increase in espionage arrests from the PRC, Iran, and Russia alone. We have an increase of 25% in counterterrorism-related offenses this year to date alone. The FBI is doing the job on all fronts, and these statistics where we dismantle child sexual abuse predator rings by the thousands has never happened before. And it's needed to be done because the Biden administration allowed these predators to go online and lay siege to our children and our youth with not just narcotics, but illicit sexual trade activity. And this FBI's cracked down in numbers that are just absolutely record-breaking and historic. And for the fake news media out there that's going to attack us and say we're inflating the numbers, you're not attacking me, you're attacking the men and women of the FBI. And that is unspeakable when it comes to the brave men that do this job every day.
Director Kash Patel, in your professional judgment, is crime now coming down in America?
Crime is coming down, Larry, but remember, this was 4 years of disastrous policies. We've only been at it 8 months. This is what we call phase 0 and 1. Crime is definitely starting to come down, but we got a lot of work left to do. And as President Trump brilliantly did, unleash the FBI quietly into Chicago and other cities like Memphis and St. Louis and elsewhere months ago to lay the groundwork and to cultivate the intelligence necessary to work with state and local partners, and then to bring in the National Guard to secure the perimeter so our men and women in law enforcement, the interagency, can do the work. And this is the focus of this FBI. We aren't about politics, and we're certainly not about weaponization. We're not chasing down our political enemies. We are holding those accountable to the American public that did weaponize it. That's not us weaponizing government. They are the hypocrites, and we are finally bringing them to the forefront of the criminal justice system where they belong.
And Kash, yesterday in the Oval presser, the president mentioned San Francisco. Is the FBI headed for San Francisco?
We're already there, Larry. That's the president's brilliance. He told us, me and Dan, 7 months ago, we got to safeguard our cities. I need you guys to get in there and begin the hard work that it's going to take the interagency to complete the mission. Just look what we did in the state of Virginia. Just look what we're doing in Memphis. It used to be the highest per capita homicide rate in the country. No longer. We are crushing gangs out there, and we are dismantling terror networks and drug networks, and we haven't even talked about the narco trafficking cases that we've been bringing by the thousands.
Well, let's talk about for a moment the arrest made at Prairieland. Okay, this is the ICE facility at Prairieland, Texas, which I guess is outside of Dallas. Allegedly, 2 Antifa people have been arrested, maybe more. Can you tell us a little more about that?
This is breaking news, Larry. Just hours ago, a grand jury indicted 2 members of an Antifa-affiliated cell that launched an attack on a detention facility attacking law enforcement and police officers. 20 individuals have been charged so far, but the key here is for the first time, under the president's authorities, designated Antifa as a domestic terror organization. We have charged these 2 individuals with material support to terrorism for their involvement in Antifa. This was a coordinated, planned attack by dozens of individuals to murder police officers. And Larry, a police officer was actually shot in the neck. These guys came and staged a scene at a detention center using fireworks, then brought in long guns and rifles. They were kitted out in bulletproof vests and masks and opened fire at law enforcement. This is what President Trump is prioritizing. We have to protect the men and women of law enforcement. And yes, Antifa exists. It's a terrorist organization. These are the first charges ever brought under this new designation. And this FBI is following the money, and we're going to dismantle these networks because people pay for this stuff. We're going to find them. They are equally criminally responsible as those that pull the trigger themselves.
So let's just one more moment on that point, because you've seen in the last couple of years, I mean, Antifa's been around, but people on the left and the far left say that Antifa doesn't exist. It's a state of mind, blah, 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 blah. You're saying 2 real people, domestic terrorists, okay? They were indicted by the grand jury. I mean, if they're not real, then how come 2 people were indicted and that they were involved in attacking the ICE facility? They have to be real. It's not a state of mind.
Yeah, I encourage everyone to read the first sentence of the indictment. It says the North Texas Antifa cell. That's literally the opening salvo in the indictment. And where do these people collaborate and come from? It's not just Texas. They're out burning courthouses in Portland. They're out committing destructive activities in Los Angeles. And the FBI has arrested dozens of these individuals. And thanks to our new investigative programs under President Trump, designating these guys as domestic terrorism, we have opened up multiple field investigations across the country, looking at the banking and financial facilitation network. We are treating them as terrorists, just like we do Al-Qaeda or ISIS. People pay for this destructive act of violence, and those people are going to be brought to justice now that we have the authorities we need to go after them.
Wow, all right, terrific stuff. And the other thing that came up yesterday in the presser was a lot of the FBI special agents are going to continue to get paid. The number I have is 1,811. I mean, we need them out there on the front lines. You're going to get them paid, Kash? Can you do that?
So it's just a slight correction. 1811, the number you read, is the federal statute for federal law enforcement officers. President Trump is going to pay all of the 12,000 plus federal FBI special agents.
Even better.
And we are working with him aggressively to make sure everybody, support staff, intel analysts, and the like, also get paid. President Trump has prioritized paying the men and women in uniform, paying the men and women in law enforcement, and I'm going to fight to make sure we get everyone paid during this government shutdown. And Larry, that raises another point. All these stats we just put out, these historic numbers on Operation Summer Heat and the juggernaut we're taking across the country, they're doing it without a paycheck. But thanks to President Trump, they're getting their paycheck, and they're going to do the job anyway. And we're going to fight to make sure everybody in the FBI gets their own paycheck, including support staff and intel analysts.
It's a great report, Kash Patel, Director Kash Patel, and we appreciate it very much. We appreciate your service very much. I will amend it and say G-men and G-women, but the FBI is doing it. It's doing its job, just what folks elected President Trump and the FBI to finally do. Kash Patel, thank you ever so much for your time and your service.